right, I've got Lucas on the line. He's another musician that reached out about the interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Lucas, just a singer-songwriter from Missouri. Been playing professionally. I say that with serious quotation marks. uh, for around three and a half years now. But I've been doing gigs since I was like 15. I'm 20 now, about to be 21. Uh, but yeah, it's a something I've always kind of grown up around. Uh, and Oh man, I completely lost my train of
All
thought.
right, no, that's great. On that note, you were about to touch base on you growing up with it and everything. So tell me about how you kind of first came in contact with music. How did you discover it, and what about it made you want to pursue it?
Yeah, so I grew up in it. Both of my parents were musicians. My dad was a drummer, and he also kind of played guitar. And my mom was a singer in a few bands just while they were growing up and while they're in high school and college and everything. But they both also just kind of heavily influenced my music taste throughout the entire time I was growing up. Where my mom, she made me into a really big Prince fan, but she also, was all over the place with like the Goo Goo Dolls and all kinds of 80s hair metal and very just kind of broad horizon of music that she's into. And then my dad was also the same way. He would listen to anything from like Jack Johnson to Slayer, pretty much. So I kind of grew up with two parents that were able to show me kind of everything in between that music has to offer, and I have them to thank a lot for my entire music taste and the willingness to kind of want to find new things in it instead of just, I know a lot of people can get comfortable in a genre or just want to hang out in that, but I really try to do the best I can to find something to appreciate in all music, whether it's, like bubblegum pop or like outlaw country. Like I'll listen to any of it and try to find something in it that I can enjoy and that I can learn from and maybe eventually try to incorporate into my own.
Sure. So tell me about the transition from being influenced by musical parents and growing up around it to beginning to learn an instrument.
So yeah, that was the tough part in the beginning. My dad got me a little Squire Stratocaster from a pawn shop whenever I was like 9, I think, and my fingers were not ready for a guitar at that point. I played it for probably that night, and then like a lot of younger kids do, you get distracted by something else and go off and do your thing, and it just kind of sat in the corner of my room. But I'd always been a big fan of listening to music, and I started to get into poetry because of school and everything, and that really started to turn into an outlet for me as I was getting older. And eventually I kind of found my way back to the guitar because of my dad. I remember we were coming home from like a family thing or something, and I was like, Dad, I don't think I can play the guitar, but maybe we could get a bass, because I was just like thinking it'd be easier since it had 4 strings instead of 6. But it's definitely not any easier or anything like that. But that was my ideology at that point. And he was like, well, how about you really sit down and try to give this a shot. And, if you still hate it after you really give it a try, then we can look into that. And I was like, all right. And he got it out, got it tuned up for me, got all the dust off of it, and showed me how to play like the most like plain Jane way that you could play Hysteria by Def Leppard. But I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, that's like right when the bug bit me for music, man. And I was like, I thought it was so crazy, but I was only playing like, I had my 3 fingers on the guitar, and it was just some like little strumming pattern, but it sounded close enough that, it was feeling like a rock star from that point. And from there on, I kind of went in and out with it. But around the time I was a freshman in high school, my dad had kind of came back and showed me how to play some open chords with like C and G and everything, um, and then that's when I was like, whoa! Like the moment that I was able to sit down and focus on that, and that I saw that, that's when I was like, okay, I can take this poetry stuff that I've been kind of doing in school and maybe write some music with it. And I had those chords down, but then the next challenge was learning to write to that and learning to sing and play it at the same time. And I was just talking to somebody today about this, actually, about teaching myself kind of how to sing and play. And as you can hear, I got kind of a higher pitched voice, and it was a lot higher pitched at that point. Um, but I decided that I was really digging Johnny Cash at that point, and I picked up Folsom Prison Blues, and that's kind of the song that I taught myself how to sing and play with, just because I could kind of keep up with the rhythm, the percussive rhythm that Johnny Cash was playing, and the thing that kind of gives it that locomotive sound. And I slowly kind of got comfortable with that, and that's the song that kind of taught me how to sing and play. But my mom helped me with a lot of my confidence as far as singing goes. I kind of started out all over the place vocally. I didn't really know how to control anything, and that's gotten better as I've gotten older. But yeah, it's been a journey to get to this point, and a lot of the times, like whenever I'm playing, it's hard to believe that I'm like I have to like pinch myself sometimes if I do something that's cool, because I'm like, a lot of times I don't even know how I got to that point.
Or imposter syndrome is it's a real thing for musicians.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you kind of moved to the point where you started recording the stuff that you're putting together. You mentioned that you began putting music to your poems and stuff. What came after that? I assume there was some sort of rudimentary recording happening.
So we had this old MacBook, like a really old MacBook, and because I tried doing it on my phone with the GarageBand, and it's just, for some reason, phone GarageBand is way harder for me to use than computer GarageBand. But I found that Mac, and the issue with it was is that like every like hour that you had it running, like it would just randomly die, like it would just shut off because it would overheat or something. And it created a new challenge, just with also trying to learn how to use the software and everything, but also having to kind of anticipate the computer just giving out. So I had to save it before that, or I'd lose everything. Um, but the early stages of that were just kind of working on recording and trying to figure out how to learn how to use the software, but also how to like learn with a metronome and everything, because that was something that I wasn't familiar with for a long time. And and trying to make the best thing that I can. And I definitely still have a lot of work and learning to do with GarageBand, but I've got a lot of friends who are pretty knowledgeable on it and have helped me out a lot along the way. And I just try to soak up the knowledge I can from it.
Awesome. So tell me about kind of where you are now. Are you still trying to figure out GarageBand, or are you putting out releases now? What's kind of your current set that you're at?
Right now, I have an album written pretty much, but it seems like I keep adding songs to it. I really need to just kind of sit down and focus on it. But I've got a whole album written. I've got kind of a plan for the singles I want to get released. It's just kind of getting together with the right people at the right times to kind of lay it down and get it recorded. It's something I'm really excited about. I've posted a few snippets of what I'm planning to do for the single on all of my social media. It's I've been doing these like lyric visualizers and trying to just kind of get the bug in people's ears, like, oh, this is what's coming. It's just trying to figure out the right time, and I want to make sure that it's the best quality that I can get as of right now. Because whenever I was younger and whenever I was first starting out, I would get so excited. I'd get done recording something, and then right away I'm like, all right, I got to post it on SoundCloud. I got to get it up. I got to send it to 100 people. Like, I get really excited really fast whenever something's coming together. And then a lot of the times, like a week or so later, when I've listened to the song like 100 times, I'm like, oh man, I really should have, sat down with that a little longer and been like,
Sure.
been a little more focused on it, just because I get so excited about it. So, there's a few people that I'm close with, that if you saw them, or if you were talking to them about this subject, they'd be like, yeah, he's always like sending me these MP3 files at like 2 a.m, asking me what I think of them. But I've gotten a little better about being patient to pull the trigger on posting stuff, but also at its own fault, I haven't really been putting out as many releases as I would have liked. But a lot of the stuff, like all my shows, for the most part, I play by myself. I've been trying to get a band together for a few years, but I just haven't had much luck with getting anything to stick or getting schedules to line up. So it's just kind of been the way things have gone. But I've got a buddy, Isaiah Diaz. He's one of my best friends, and we've been working together for a long time, just hanging out, being friends. But also, he's an amazing guitar player, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get him on to work on this album with me. And whoever else comes along the way, I'm excited to meet them, and excited to see what they can add to it. But yeah, I don't think I'm personally going to record the album myself. I'm probably going to try to reach out to one of my friends that has a studio and try to get in there for that, because I know there's just some things that are out of my capabilities for sure.
All right. Well, so tell me about some of your favorite memories that stand out to you that help keep you motivated about your, experiences with music.
Yeah. This year has been a little bit different than last year. Last year I played around 40 shows. And then at the very end of last year, I noticed I was at my dad's birthday party, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and he noticed like a lump on my throat, and I was like, oh, that's my Adam's apple. And he's like, no, it's not. And it ended up being a bunch of doctor's visits, but it turned out that I had a thyroglossal cyst the size of a golf ball in my throat. And yeah, at the very end of last year, I just worked with a few of my friends on planning a couple benefit concerts for the Hurricane Ian Relief Fund. And we were really excited about that. But all of the planning for that started just about the time I found out about this cyst in my throat. And I'd been noticing a little bit of like voice fatigue, but as it got later into the year, it just kind of got worse. And by the time we got to these shows, my voice was getting it was a little bit harder for me to sing and everything. But thankfully I was able to get through them, and we were able to raise some money and everything. And it was a great time. I met so many cool people there, and like memory wise, it's just all the people that I've gotten to meet from the day that I started performing on a stage to this point is just so awesome. There's so many cool people, and everybody that's out to support, and everybody that's been supportive of my career and all of my friends' careers. It's just been such a amazing experience getting to meet all these people and hear their stories, and to get their input on the things that I've been working on and all the things that they've taught me. But yeah, I'm all over the place. Like I always just bounce around, but
That's okay.
but yeah, I ended up having to have a surgery, and they removed the middle of my hyoid bone, a piece of my thyroid, and they took out the cyst. And then at the beginning of this year, I was on vocal rest for a little while, and I got behind on some booking stuff. And it was, I was kind of just trying to relearn how to sing with everything being different now. And this year has been so amazing. I've gotten to be a part of a lot of really cool charity events this year, and I've got to play some shows in places I hadn't played before. And like I said, I've got to meet a lot of really cool people along the way.
So since you're getting back out there, starting to do shows again and getting back into the habit of it, where can people find you and follow you and check out the album that you're working on, and then also come and see you?
The best place to find anything is on Facebook at Lukas update showtimes and more. That's pretty much where I post everything when it comes to shows I got coming up, behind the scenes stuff for working on everything. And the cool thing about it is that it's a community space. So if anybody comes to my shows, and they take any pictures or videos at them, they can post in the group, and everybody can kind of be like, "Oh yeah, I was there too," blah blah blah. And that's something I really wanted to prioritize, is making a community place where all the people who are there can, I can talk to them, I can interact with them, and they can also interact with each other. But also, you can find me on Instagram at the local space cowboy. That's kind of it's my personal Instagram, but I post a little bit of everything. I go to a pretty decent amount of concerts too, and I post pictures from those, and also stuff with my own music and everything on there too.
All right, perfect. So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So what's a message that you want to throw out there that you think other people should hear?
All right. Well, this quote has been in and out of my life a lot, as I've been kind of going through everything. And it was my senior quote in high school. And I think about it a lot. And like I said earlier, I'm a big Prince fan. But Prince said, sometimes it takes years to become an overnight success. And I'm a big person for beating myself up about a lot of things, and wanting to, like I said, I'll be making something and I instantly want to send it to everybody. I instantly want to post it, but I've been trying to work a lot on being patient in the creative process, and trying to focus on quality over quantity, and also just trying to appreciate the moments in between, because there's a lot of really cool things that happen that you don't really recognize until after they've happened. So I've been trying to focus more on those moments lately.